Let's continue with more Higurashi. Where is our plan going to take us now? To Keiichi's house. And Rena. And Mion. Yo. Uncle Mion here. Furude-san and Hojo-san are absent today because they both have colds. The weather is changing, so it's easy to catch a cold. Make sure you cover yourselves when you go to sleep. Okay? Yes! Yes! Oh. They live together, so I guess they caught it together. Rika-chan is supposed to work as a shrine maiden on the day of Waranagashi. I hope she'll be okay, I hope. We're planning to have lots of fun at the festival. I hope they recover miraculously by tomorrow. Hey, do you want to go see them on our way home? Maybe we can bring something cold to eat, too. Oh, no. We don't need to. By the way, can you two stop by at Uncle Mion's house today? Mion usually likes ideas like these, but she's a little different today. She knows. Actually, she's been acting a little different since this morning. Even when I talk to her, her thoughts are somewhere else. Now she's asking Rena and me to stop by at her house. Your house, Mi-chan? What for? Well, I need to talk to you about something important. I can't tell you now, though. Mion seems calmer than usual, which tells me it's about something very serious. No Uncle Mion voice today. There are always lots of patients running into the clinic just before lunchtime. Lunchtime at the clinic is always later than normal people's lunchtime. However, it's just a break. The afternoon hours begin right away. The staff are enjoying their takeout lunches. They can basically eat anywhere they want, as long as the patients don't see them. Because it's hot and humid, the meeting room with its air conditioner is a popular place. The staff eat their takeout lunches in there. I'm the director of this clinic, so they may feel uncomfortable eating with me. I am just one of the bros, so I usually eat my lunch in the director's room. I ordered soba lunch today. I ordered an extra large portion. I'm fucking hungry. An extra large size of plain cold soba. So when I place an order, I have to make sure it's a large size of plain cold soba. Not a large size udon with fried tofu on top. But is this really a large size? It looks like a regular size. I think the owner of the restaurant has hurt her hip, so she must be having a hard time running her restaurant. I'm still thinking about her when Takano-san comes in. She has a real large size in her hands. I must have taken her regular size instead of my large size. Oh boy, how confusing. Hee hee, this really is confusing, isn't it? They should use some kind of mark, you know? I agree. For example, they could put a flag like this one on a kid's meal. Like the one on a kid's meal, and that says large size. I think she likes the idea of kids' meals. She laughs for a while. Would you like to join me? I invite her to sit on the sofa. Are you sure? Thank you, but could you turn the air conditioning down just a little? Sure, sorry about that. Here we go. Come to think of it, I haven't really had much communication with her. We really never step into each other's boundaries, and we are rather distant. Since our attitudes toward the research are different, we never mingled before. So chatting over lunch is a good way to become closer to her. I wonder what she likes to talk about over lunch. It's a bit late to start the Takano social link, isn't it? I should be the one to start a peaceful conversation. I don't want her to start talking about things like measles. We are having lunch after all. While I try to come up with something to talk about, she starts a conversation. Let me tell you about measles. A flag on a kid's meal. That brings back memories. Do you think they still have flags, though? I don't know. It's one of those things that endure. So it's possible they will keep having flags on kids' meals even in the far future. Maybe even an in-flight kids' meal on a spaceship will have a flag on it. Hee. That sounds interesting. I wonder if kids will collect those flags even in the future. Oh! The flags are a big part of her past, right? She had a whole big collection of them, and she wanted to go with her parents that day get a kid's meal, and left without her for whatever reason, and then they got in a fucking train accident, and oh shit, flags are important to her. Ah, stop trying to make me care about her. Flags? Did you care? Did you collect them? Oh, didn't you do it when you were a kid? Flags from kids' meals. No way. When I was a kid, only kids from the rich families could have kids' meals. My family couldn't afford it. That's not true. My family was poor, but when we went to a mall, we had our lunch at a restaurant there. Hee. At the time, for me to go to a mall meant having a kid's meal. So whenever my parents went to the mall without me, I'd get very upset. And then they went to the mall without me, and then they fucking died. Your childhood sounds so happy. But when they went to the mall without me one day, they were in an accident and they died. Until I got the call about the accident, I was really upset with my parents for going to the mall without me. And I was sure they were having a meal there. I only needed one more to make my collection complete. Collecting 20 flags was my goal. I was so upset I couldn't complete my collection. That's awful, huh? Must have been horrible to lose your parents at the age when she was still interested in collecting flags from kids' meals. Obviously, it's still a painful memory for her. I see. I didn't know. By the way, is that why you became a doctor? Huh? Why? Well, the reason why I wanted to become a doctor was because of my family. Uh-oh. Resuming. So I thought maybe it was the same for you, too. I became a doctor so I could study the Hinamizawa syndrome. I got the license so I could research. How interesting. When she was going to a medical school, she already knew about the Hinamizawa syndrome. By the way, I didn't know anything about this syndrome. What did you find out about the Hinamizawa syndrome? I heard you encountered the syndrome when you were looking into the late Dr. Takano's documents. I'm impressed that you've already started this research while studying at the medical school. Studying took up all my time when I was a student. That's impressive. Actually, I became familiar with the Hinamizawa syndrome long before that. What does she mean? How old was she when she first found out about the Hinamizawa syndrome? In fact, why did she become familiar with it? Just like Sadako-chan and Rika-chan, I didn't have any relatives, so I was sent to an orphanage. It was a horrible orphanage. Do you remember war orphans? It was a facility to take in those children just for the money from the government. When I escaped from there, my grandfather, Dr. Takano, rescued me. So you actually lived with Dr. Takano? I see, now I understand. But why do you keep it a secret? Well, there are many reasons. It's one thing to request for funds for research on a mysterious disease. It's another thing to do it for a research project of my late grandpa's. I see. Finally a question is answered. The way you talk about Dr. Takano isn't just one researcher admiring another researcher. Still, since you respect him that much, he must have been a wonderful doctor with natural virtues. I don't know about his natural virtues. He died alone, of an illness, without anybody understanding him. He preferred being alone, a bad habit. That's why he couldn't find anyone to support him. But he had you as an assistant. By the way, your names sound the same, huh? Yes, it's not my real last name. I took my grandfather's last name to show respect. I actually wanted to use the same character, but I thought it could get complicated when explaining it to my client, so I decided to use a different character. Her name is Takano, and her grandfather's name is Takano, though written differently. Her name is Mio, and her grandfather's name is Hifumi. She doesn't need to say anymore. She lost her parents when she was young, and Dr. Takano took her in and loved her as if she was his own child. To show her love and respect, she decided to call him her grandfather. He was, pretty much. Now I know. That's the reason why she devotes herself to the research on the Hinamizawa syndrome. I now understand how she must feel about knowing that the research is being terminated soon. Denying her whole life, Rika-chan said she was hurt. Although I didn't know anything about it, I may have said something to hurt her before. I only cared about treatment and examination, and didn't care about the rest until today. That must be blasphemy toward her grandfather. Now I know why she became aggressive every time I expressed how I felt. After she was told about the termination of the research, she stayed up all night and gathered lots of documents. Not again. She went to Tokyo and requested continuation of the research without depending on anyone, and then she was rejected. The documents she used are in a box in the underground storage. She must have put a lot of effort into preparing these documents. Even someone without any knowledge of the research can easily understand what she was trying to say. However, it looks like some of those documents weren't even opened, and some have marks that tell me they weren't treated properly as documents. I'm sure Takano-san must have shed tears of mortification. I've heard from Tokyo that Takano-san left a terrible impression with the board of directors. It's not easy to overturn a bad impression. In other words, she can never try to appeal the continuation of the research again. I was there when she found out about it. I was there when she found out that she could no longer continue her grandfather's research, even though she must have promised him that she would complete it. Are you going to continue researching on your own after the Irie institution closes? When the Irie institution closes, the Hinamizawa syndrome will be eradicated. Do you think I would save a pathogen on a laboratory dish and infect someone with it, then conduct the research? Do you think that it's possible to continue researching as an individual without any equipment, funds, or a facility? Just like my grandfather, who was never noticed by anyone, do you expect me to continue the research in a study filled with the smell of formalin, so I'll be ridiculed by others? I'm not young anymore, and I don't have the willpower to continue. How do you expect a loser like me to continue? Tomitaki-san has told me that the Irie institution was supposed to be the Takano institution, but the clients didn't like the idea of a young woman being a leader, so they requested a male, and that's why I was invited. That explains why she's been unfriendly since we first met. It must have been blasphemy for her to see me talk about the Hinamizawa syndrome and decide on a research plan according to my values and my morals. The Hinamizawa syndrome is her grandfather. She must feel his presence when she is researching the syndrome. That's the reason why she often stayed at the institution until late at night, though it made the mountain hounds, who were the security guards at the institution, annoyed. Would you like some soba juice? Ah, yes, please. Her shoulders look fragile to me for the first time. Now I'm sure of Rika-chan's story. Takano-san holds indescribable sadness within her. And if someone approached her, pretending to understand her, she might just fall for it. Because of my position, anything I say to her will only hurt her more, probably. Sometimes words can hurt people no matter how they're used. But I can't stop myself from saying something. I guess I'm not mature enough. You know, let's put our money into your research. We have 3 more years. We can do our best too. Damn, what have I said? I shouldn't have opened my mouth. Thank you for your consideration. It's not easy to watch something wither over 3 years. I think Dr. Takano committed suicide when he realized he couldn't continue his research because his mind was starting to fail him. My verbal slip makes her remember a painful memory and hurts her once again. He went into a coma, and I had to make a decision whether to turn off the life support or not. Hey, Director Irie, who would you ask to turn off the machine? You wouldn't do it yourself, would you? Takano-san asks as if it's a normal question. She's only expecting one answer. If I had to make a decision, I would probably let one of the family members do it. That's right, huh? There's no way anyone would miss that final moment, right? I will be here for the final moment of the Hinamizawa syndrome, no matter what. Someone knocks on the door, and I hear a voice of one of the staff members. Director, the afternoon hours are starting. Please get ready. Oh, okay. I'll be right there. I'll clean up. Why don't you go? Lots of elderly people are waiting to chit-chat with you. Hehehe. Takano-san laughs, but I know she's laughing to hide her deep sadness. I'm not close to her personally, but she is my partner here at the clinic. I've been trying to avoid getting close to her, but maybe that was a mistake. If I had listened to her more, maybe I could have eased her pain a little. But it's too late. Tomitake-san is conducting an investigation to prove she's innocent. Is she guilty or not guilty? Either way, her deep sadness remains. After Ide leaves, Takano sits down on the sofa again and stares at nothing for a while. Then she gets up and picks up the phone on the desk. This is Takano. Is Okonogi there? It's me. I was going to ask you to start on the 20th, but please start the observation of R today. Eh? What difference does it make? Or are you going to tell me it's too hot to start today? Yeah, please. We only have 5 days. You better be careful. More than careful, okay? Yeah, alright. Okay, goodbye. Okonogi puts down the phone and sighs. Although it's his job to do whatever Takano wants him to do, he can't help complaining about getting an order on this extremely hot day. Of course, if he complains, Takano will come back with twice as much reproach. This is the office of Okonogi Gardeners in Okonomiya, a dummy company. They actually do some gardening in Hinamizawa, so nobody would get suspicious to see their uniforms in Hinamizawa. Oh my, oh my. Call in Ugisu and Hibari, cancel their vacations. Our princess has given us an order to start the observation of R today. We'll move up the schedule by 3 days. The first day is Shirasagi, right? Go in a group of 4, including 1 telephone observer, 1 supporter, 1 residence observation, and 1 supporter. Shirasagi, take your command post. Also, we'll step up the fabrication of the telephone equipment, too. It was Ugisu's job, but it'll take a whole day for him to get here, so we'll use Utari. Utari 7, gather up your construction team and finish by tonight. Can you do it? Of course. My guys are well trained. Mountain Hounds are different from a battle unit. They're a unit made of different specialists. For one thing, Okonogi just ordered the fabrication of a telephone facility. Wiretapping, gathering information, maneuvering information, and even spying on public institutions such as a police department are examples of their jobs. They belong to the self-defense force. Some are from a fire department, some are from a police department, and some are civil engineers. Of course, there are some battle experts as well. Okonogi is one of those battle experts, and doesn't expect too much from those engineers. Those people have gone through training, but compared to what battle experts can do, it's child's play. He's a leader of a unit made mostly of members who can't even do 100 push-ups. That's the only complaint he has. He'd rather lead the watchdogs. But somehow he became the leader of this strange unit, maybe because of his cautious yet courageous personality. Since he is a battle expert, he wishes for a fight. When he was involved in the kidnapping case 5 years ago, their plan was to be found by the police and to run away, leaving the hostage. But the pathetic battle he had with the plainclothes policeman is still an annoying memory. Was he the one who... Oh, was he the one who stabbed... Oh, that was Okonogi. He was a fat old man acting arrogantly. He could have taken him within a matter of seconds. He could have just broken his neck. He could have turned him around and snap. It would have been so easy for him. He was a young policeman, too. He shot him in the shoulder, but he could have shot at his ear. He was told to be easy on him, so that was the best he could do. He thought of firing the second shot, but there just wasn't in time. So the last shot he fired was that reluctant shot. I can't believe that ridiculous battle was his last fighting job. Okanogi has been training, so he is ready for battle anytime. It was going to come down to a final showdown between Okanogi and Akasaka. Final death battle! Now that this operation is starting, he hopes there will be a battle for him to fight. He doesn't have to fire a shot. He doesn't have to punch anyone. All he wants is a battle that satisfied his battle expert's pride, that's all. Yes, one moment, please. Commander, there's a phone call for you. I don't know if it's for the commander or the president, though. He's also the president of Okanogi Gardeners. So members usually call him president. Hang on, I'll get my accent back. And the what? Really? How about that, huh? And who's it, anyway? It's a woman. She says her name is Nomura. She's asking for President Okanogi. Ooh. That's for the commander. I'll get it at the president's room. Please transfer. Nomura wants to talk to Okanogi. Rattle, rattle, crash. I hear a noise. It sounds like many buckets are coming crashing down. It's probably a noise from one of Sadako-chan's traps. According to her trap map, if someone goes near the wiretapping shack, there's a trap that makes a loud noise. That must be it. I scouted around the shack last night before the girls left. The shack is very secluded, and it's located in a blind spot where nobody is likely to come. So this noise means something important. It means the observation has started in this shack. I can't let them notice Rika-chan and Sadako-chan on home. I'm sure they will call and come by to make sure they are here. I have to make sure they think the girls are sick in bed, and that they don't hear the phone or the doorbell. The curtains are closed, so they can't see what's inside the house. But to be sure, their beds are puffed up, so it looks like they're in their beds. But I have to be even more careful from now on. I can't let them notice that I'm staying here. Also, I have to make sure I can act when something happens. The phone rings suddenly, just as I expected. It must be them calling to see if they're home. They already know they didn't come to school, so they probably assume they're home sick in bed. I'm sure they want proof that they're home. The phone rings for a long time, which convinces me this is a call from them. If there's no answer, they'll come by. Pretend to be a mailman or a neighbor and knock on the door. I don't need to answer the door. The girls are too sick to answer the phone. They won't notice a knock on the door either. Those things increase the chance of them finding out the truth. That also tells me the enemy is getting closer. Actually, it tells me things are getting tense, which is good for me. I like tense. Besides, Irie from the Irie institution is our ally, and he already knows Rika-chan is somewhere else. He's supposed to tell them that he came by because he heard Rika-chan and Sadako-chan missed school. And the two were in bed and that they should be left alone for a while. He's supposed to say that. They won't doubt Irie. They will believe him. This is an advanced level of lying to each other. They believe they are deceiving Irie, but the truth is, Irie is deceiving them. However, they are professionals, and we are a bunch of amateurs. Well, not me. Actually, maybe I'm not an exception. I don't know what they've got until I come face to face with them. Our conditions aren't even. We're leading by a tiny bit because we made our move first. Once that's gone, we don't stand a chance. I promised Rika-chan that I trust her unconditionally. So even without proof, I'm ready for a fight. But I can't beat this conspiracy by myself. To gain help from others, Tomitake has to find proof. Tomitake is the leader of our first attack. That means he is in the most danger, too. It's understandable that Rika-chan kept warning him to be very careful. He should have started his investigation as early as last night. That's the reason for the start of the observation. I can only pray for his safety and the success of the investigation. I hear a voice. That's Irie. Sadako-chan, Rika-chan, I'm here to examine you. I hear footsteps coming up the stairs and a knock. I'm alone, don't worry. We must talk quietly. This house is already under observation. I let Irie in and closed the door quickly. How are you? It's getting hot in here since you can't open the windows, huh? Here is something for you. He hands me a plastic bag. It contains ice cream, cans of juice, some snacks, and even cans of beer. Obviously this isn't for the girls. I feel he's being a little careless, but I'm grateful. So how is everything? I heard a noise from the wiretapping shack earlier. There was a phone call that rang for a long time. I'm sure they found out about the girls missed school today and called to check. So anybody asked you to come check on Rika-chan? Yes. Takano-san told me to go check because they missed school and they haven't come to the clinic. I knew it. Do you think she's suspicious about the girl's absence? No. I think it has something to do with Tomitaki-san starting his investigation. Even if it doesn't, this may give him a chance to find out something. Either way, something has already started, right? Yes, more than likely. I don't know if our enemies are Takano and the Mountain Hounds, or someone else. Either way, our enemy has started to take action. I can't help but think of the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. The first 2 years were just coincidences. But starting the third year, I think Takano-san became intrigued by it and expected something to happen on the night of Wadanogashi. Wadanogashi is the day after tomorrow. It's a perfect time for them to do something. And in the 5th year, she aims for Rika-chan. Takano is a scary woman. What Rika-chan said about Takano-san, I think it's all true. I found out just today that she was adopted by Dr. Takano, the one who discovered the syndrome. The same last name. I see. To her, continuing the research of the Hinamizawa syndrome is like a promise to her grandfather. But the research project will be terminated. That's blasphemy against her grandfather. That's exactly what Rika-chan said, right? Yes. Also, Takano-san said something else. She used a simile of a dying patient in a coma to describe the research that is to end in 3 years. She says family members have the right to turn off the switch of the life support machine. Kill the disease in her own way? Or see it to the end? If it's a research project that's being terminated anyway, Takano Mio, who considers herself a family member of the late Dr. Takano, should be the one to terminate it. Yes, I think that's what she meant. We're gathering the circumstantial evidence we need. Takano is, in fact, our enemy. Yurie was still suspicious yesterday, but now he believes what Rika-chan said is true. We need Tomitaki-san to find some proof that shows Takano-san is planning something. Then, to restrain all the people involved, a suppression unit will be called in. Takano has the Mountain Hounds, a special unit, working for her. Is it possible to suppress them? Yes. I don't know anything about them, but there is a unit called the Watchdogs. They're supposed to be a battle unit, deployed in case of a true emergency. Mountain Hounds are more like an intelligence unit, so this unit will be far stronger than them. If it is a unit to deal with an emergency of a secret institution, it must be very powerful. So are you saying that gaining the support of these watchdogs is our winning condition? I think so. But the thing is that an emergency manual approves of destroying the village in order to retain secrets. So even if the dogs come, would they do the same thing and destroy the village so they can destroy all the evidence? No, they wouldn't. If the enemy's intent is to activate the emergency manual, that doesn't make sense. If this conspiracy has its roots in a conflict of factions, the Irie institution's clients would want to settle things peacefully. They would attack the enemy, and before the villagers could find out what's going on, they'd wrap up. I know, because I've done some of those dangerous jobs myself. They will run through the village like a wind, and complete their mission. A unit capable of doing that to the Mountain Hounds must be amazingly powerful. We just have to wait until we hear from Tomitaki-san. Yes, this will be a game of endurance. But once things happen, they'll happen fast. It'll switch over suddenly, and it'll be a painful battle. It's reassuring to us that you're in the enemy's midst, but at the same time, you are in a very vulnerable position. Please don't let your guard down. The moment we decided to be Rika-chan's allies, we became their enemies. Yes. Hopefully there isn't an active bug. The phone at this house is already wiretapped, so EDA has to come over to communicate with me. But this doesn't work in an emergency. The best way is to use a telephone. So I already have a memo prepared. There's a method of talking on a phone that's under observation. This is something I came up with from my experience of being in abnormal situations. What is this? The way to call me in case of an emergency. Please make sure the enemy doesn't get hold of it. If you are in danger, swallow it. The phone is being wiretapped, so how can we make a call? If you pick up the phone, even if you don't say anything, they might get suspicious. We can communicate without picking up the phone. There's a little trick to it. We can communicate the most important thing. You are the only one who can do it, since you can sense the enemy's movement first. Okay. And how do I do it? It's in the memo. Let me explain briefly. We use the ringtone on the phone. When you make a call, you rarely let the phone ring over a minute. We use that to communicate. If the phone rings for a minute, that means it's dangerous. Leave. If the phone rings for a minute and a half, it means it's an emergency. Head to the Sonozaki residence. The difference of 30 seconds holds a message. Please look at the memo for other messages. But please memorize these two, okay? My life depends on it. The message to let me know my life is in danger is the shorter call, which makes sense. But if it's too short, I'll get confused with regular phone calls. That's why to signal me, he's supposed to hang up the phone within 3 seconds first, then place an emergency call. The reason why I use the difference of 30 seconds is to make sure there's no misunderstanding. The tones the caller hears and the rings the receiver hears are a little different. I don't want that little difference to change a message, and that's why I added a 30-second difference. A short ring first, and 1 minute means run. A minute and a half means head to where Rika-chan is. Okay, I got it. It's a little troublesome. This is just for an emergency. Please remember. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but it probably will. See you next time.